Tradesman, have women ever offered sex on the job, and why did you accept decline? A friend's mom called me once to do maintenance on her late husband's Harley Davidson. I realized it wasn't the Harley that needed a service when she opened the door nearly naked. I turned around and muttered something about seeming back later, which I never did. I gotta imagine sex doesn't pay down the debt you incurred buying supplies or for the labor of any subcontractors you hired. It's not like you can then have some of the sex with your subcontractors to share what you got from the sex you had with the lady client. HVAC tech here, mostly residential. I've seen my fair share of voyeur housewives who will leave doors open when they are changing. Only time I was ever propositioned was after I had done a repair. She was prob mid-50s but smoking hot. I wanted to since I had not gotten any in a while, but I knew it could go south too easily. Hard decision, but the smartest. No, but after the big freeze in Texas I did fix this old woman's broken pipe she hadn't bathed in weeks. It was heartbreaking honestly. Anyways, once I turned the shower on she started crying and kissing me on the cheek and insisting I stay for dinner, and that I was a real hero. I had to decline because there were other pipes in the apartment complex to be fixed that night. Edit. Now that I think about it, that was the best job I've been on. My coworkers had families to go home to, but nobody cared. We were all motivated to get the water back on for this whole complex. Late nights and heavy emotions. Only heard of it happening once. Worker was single and in really good shape, and the woman at the house was married with younger kids. Not sure how it happened, but he fell in love with her and ruined her marriage. He went crazy chasing her and she went back to her husband. Word on the street is that her husband ending up leaving her a year later and got to keep the kids, and she ended up paying child support and alimony to him after cheating. It was lose-lose all around. Oh, and the business the husband and wife were running together went under, and their handful of employees consequently lost their jobs too. I'm a general contractor and had a government contract to rehab and take care of construction stuff in low-income apartments. I replaced a GC who was fired because his men kept on having relations with the residents in exchange for stuff. So I made a rule where my guys had to be in pairs whenever they entered an apartment. On the first day, 2 of my guys went into this lady's apartment to replace the front door because her old one was kicked in. She met them naked and offered to take them both on if they can also get her a new fridge. Not by themselves. I once had a bloke I did some work for offer me a go on his wife as payment. That's a no from me, pal. My invoice'll be in the post. I delivered pizzas for a local mom and pop pizza shop more than 30 years ago. There was one house that would call in orders, and the other drivers would openly argue over whose turn it was to deliver to this address. Being the new guy on the crew, I never got the chance, nor would they tell me what the deal was, so my imagination ran wild. Well, one day the stars aligned and I finally got the opportunity. To my disappointment, it turned out that the deal was that it was an older gentleman who lived alone and offered $100 tip for you to watch porn and jerk off while he watched. Doctor, easiest 100 I ever made. Not a tradesman, but a bouncer. I was getting offered sex services in return to let them in the club. I stopped being a bouncer about 9 years ago. It's been 9 years since they randomly hit on me. Yes, and the weirdest part was that I worked maintenance at a hotel at the time, so she didn't even have to pay me for the job. The hotel pays me either way. Fuck that, I don't want to mess with that. Kinda. I did get sexually harassed at work once. I worked in optics and I don't know if it was the effect of being in a darkened room doing pre-screen tests or what, but a woman felt my leg up and grabbed my groin. She wasn't unattractive and I'm not a prude, but I am happily married and frankly just not interested in anyone else. As soon as the pre-screen tests were done, I asked the clinic manager if I could make a point of not serving that person again. I explained what happened and got laughed at. Because I'm a guy and I should love it. Not that I don't like it when it's the right person in the right situation, you know. I've had a client form a crush on me and would get me out to different sites run by the organization for no real reason. Every time she was there, and she always asked for me specifically. She told one of the ladies that worked in our office, and after that they started to send out other texts to fix her issues. The client's support call-out requests dropped significantly after that. I'm not a tradesman, but when I was single it was always a fantasy of mine to order a pizza or something, then either open the door without a shirt or invite the delivery guy in if he wanted. But then I thought it over and considered it could be an underage driver, they could be in a relationship, they could be unwilling to consent to seeing me nude, ruling out the answering the door naked thing, they could report me to be put on the do not deliver list, and because I really like pizza. And all those other reasons, I ultimately decided against it. I got shit. Beside the one time this girl came downstairs in a towel, and it was a really short towel. I have nothing. I became a pool guy for this and had SPO offers. I did get to see many bikinis though, so that's cool. Not technically a tradesman, but did work for myself supporting home offices for a time. Yes, the offer has been made. No, I don't shit where I eat. Yes, I do know people who have accepted the offer. No, it did not end well for them. I never knew this was a thing that happened. Lot lizards are a big thing in trucking. And no, even if I were into women, I like being disease-free. Not me, but an old acquaintance who owned a rough street gym. A ridiculously pretty girl trying desperately hard to be an influencer would get growth hormone from him for 2 blow jobs a week for 3 weeks. He'd typically book her in Monday, Friday. Both of them thought it was a reasonable trade and not in fucking sane. Slightly different take. Worked as a restaurant server. Ridiculous the number of offers of sex you get. I'm not runway model looking. Alcohol 1000 loosens people's inhibitions and desire for casual sex.